We all know Jack Kirby is the king of comics. He invented with Stan Lee pretty much everything. The Avengers and Thor and Hulk and Doctor not Doctor Strange. That was with Ditko, but
Official. Hello,
we
everyone,
back.
and welcome to another episode of Kurt and Jake
True.
making a comic book, which is called Turbo Pit Fighter. This is a 20 plus year comic in the making, and we're making it. We're not actually just talking about how to make comics. And it's not even just the pages, like laying out pages and what pens to use. We're talking about the industry as a whole and how it's changed over the last I've been collecting comics for a solid 40 years now. And every time I try to walk away, it's something out there brings me back in. So I'm Kurt Bruegel, and how you doing, Jake?
I'm great, Kurt. I'm working hard here on this action scene of this uh, brute hanging upside down, smashing the window of the ice cream truck.
And
And
that's page 6, right?
yeah, this is going. Well, I'm numbering at page 6, but things might shift. I think I don't know if we need to. We said in the last episode we might be adding a splash page and then kick all these pages back a number, but
Okay.
um, we'll see. I mean, you could also just use your inside front cover to kind of set things up. We don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, but. This, this is definitely the sixth page of the second issue that we're working on for sure.
And I'm inking the 12th page of issue number 1.
So we're right in the hot and heavy part of it.
Making this
We're
comic.
yeah, we were talking last last episode about action sequences and sustaining the viewer's interest and you know, complaining about other comics and then praising other comics. We're part of an indie comic book scene that, we hope people really patronize and really, go ahead and buy comics and collect them. And, if you find something that you see that's good, um, you know, don't just look at it in the store. Get a copy because that's going to help that creator continue on. And, I know comics, there's a lot of browsing. There's a lot of like, I'm not into that, I'm not into that, and, what you finally end up taking home is really important. It's like voting with your feet or voting with your pocketbook. And, that could be somebody's livelihood, that could be the difference between them waiting tables and being able to sit home and draw all day and create beautiful things and tell stories. So um, you know definitely go out and support your indie comics, and if you're on Instagram, put in indie comics hashtags when you're browsing every once in a while, and go to conventions. Don't forget the little guys, and Marvel's great and I love Marvel, but don't forget the little guys. And you notice how I left DC out, right?
That's fine. I'm not here to tout them. But hey, let me ask you a question real quick.
Yeah.
Are you on a monthly issue from Marvel? Like, are you reading something right now that's got your goat?
No, I do not read monthly comics. I just do catch ups at the end with the
Trade
graphic
paperbacks?
novel.
Right,
Yeah, I
right.
and I might see them in in a bookstore, but there is a local comic store, believe it or not, a retail comic store in my little town here. And you know, I see they have like, the sign out that says you know, we maintain like what are they, mailing boxes, right? For people that have like a mailing list or
Yep.
You know,
Well,
yeah,
I guess they're monthlies, I guess is what they
right,
call them. Yeah, I used to
yeah,
do
and
that way long ago.
right. I mean, because the thinking was if something, I don't know if this still happens nowadays, but if something sells out, you don't have to worry. You already have a
Mm,
copy in your safety box or whatever you call it, your
yeah.
security box,
Well, that's how comic
because
book stores actually stay in business. Really, that's their bread and butter because what it is that it's already, those books are already being bought. They know they're going to get bought. So instead of just buying 35 issues of something and sticking it on a shelf and seeing what happens, they're buying 35 issues, 30 of them for people for their boxes, and then five of them are up on the shelf.
right. And yeah, when I go in there, I'm usually just browsing in the cheapo boxes, looking for some interesting gems that were overlooked or something. But people are going in on, talking to the guy and they're shooting the breeze and then, they're checking out and they're dropping $75, at a go. And they're getting a nice handful of stuff to take home and read. And this is the biz. So it's great. The comic buyer, the comic collector is a very important, part of the ecosystem here. It isn't like music where they're just really just a bunch of bands looking at each other, play.
Right.
And there are actual fans, So there's the local comic scene, and then there's the convention scene, which comes through every once in a while. And I was gonna, I think, I think July, I think next Saturday, I think there's a con in Brooklyn, um, right? And I don't know, I was thinking about maybe going down there, but I don't know,
Sweet.
yeah, New York is having like a pretty bad Omicron variant resurgence right now. I
Oh,
think New
really?
York City, yeah, I think the five boroughs of New York City just hit like 14% positivity rate. So if you're listening to this, this is a little time stamp of
Yeah.
and
These
and
times.
yeah, and me not being the spring chicken that I once was, I have to think twice. Do I want to go to a convention, in-person comic convention? But yeah, they had a Bronx Con 2 weeks ago, and it wasn't a biggie, but I missed it, and I was thinking the same thing. Should I go? Should I get a table? Should I just peruse? And then the Brooklyn one looks to be bigger. And the cool thing about Brooklyn is there's a lot more like I think weirdos and zine people in Brooklyn.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and the definite interesting flavor there because it's It's I don't want to say hipsterville. I want to say nerdville. There is hipsterville in like Williamsburg and Greenpoint and it's stretching out into Bushwick. As things get more and more gentrified, college educated millennials that are settling in, buying, apartments, and they have like a little social scene. I did pass by like a Dungeon and Dragon storefront place, where they have gaming and stuff. Um, but you got to see. I haven't been. I've never been to a comic convention in Brooklyn my whole life, and I haven't been to a comic convention since the pandemic. So, got to go check it out and see what's what.
Absolutely.
And we're going to be eventually there with our wares, but for now we're just at home in the studio
1 foot at a time.
doing our thing.
That's right.
Hmm.
So you said you had something to share from the end of last episode, which was a Marvel
Yeah,
something or other.
let me back out. It's pre-Marvel. Um, but we all know Jack Kirby is the king of comics. He invented with Stan Lee, pretty much everything, the Avengers and Thor and Hulk and Doctor, not Doctor Strange, that was with Ditko, but the Fantastic Four and the X-Men and just Medusa, the Inhumans, you name it. So this is a nice book. I think someone bought it for me or I bought it, but the best of Simon and Kirby from Titan Books, and this goes back very, very early. And I had never seen any of this stuff before. A lot of this stuff was really lost to history. It was not reprinted until books like this came out. And so this came out in 2009, and I probably got this a couple years later. There is some Captain America in here, and the Vision, but this is going to be really early stuff here. And the introduction is written by Joe Simon. They're
Wow.
talking about 1940s stuff
That's my
here.
favorite Blue Bolt story.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I'm a Blue
R
Bolt fan.
really? Okay, yeah. Before there was Black Bolt, there was Blue Bolt.
Yep.
Yeah. So this brings us back, I think, to 1945, right around wartime. Um, Simon and Kirby, here is the stuntman, and
Man.
obviously this is all restored color that we're seeing. Um, right? There's no way to present this because in the old format because it was all printed on yellowish newsprint. So what they need to do is they need to do high res scans and completely wash it out and then recolor it, probably using Photoshop, right? Um,
Yeah.
and they use an old copy as a guide, but you can see here everything is in register, right? And this work is looking its best. And there's a lot of primary colors, and the reason why there's a lot of primary colors is by choice because it's quicker and easier to use primary colors. Number one, that means you can just, use like 100% yellow or 100% red or 100% um, blue. The cyan is like the blue. It's kind of like this here. And you don't have to like, cut tints and use the Band-Aid dots. But here's some great stuff. And they're showing you the covers here in miniature. But then, you're seeing the internal pages here. This is the splash page introducing Marvel Boy. Who remembers that? And like this big clunky MB on his shirt, you know. Um, I certainly don't. And these characters, these are definitely lost to history. A lot of people don't know also that um, Jack Kirby, around these times when comics were only 10 cents, invented the romance comic. This was the first romance comic right here. Young Romance number one.
Young romance.
Yeah. And, the idea was it's not all about action, it's just about relationships and drama. Look, this artist has a model there, and she's hot as fire, and the girlfriend comes in, and it's like, what is going on in here? Right? And for the female reader, that is just as dramatic you know, as the Red Skull, killing Bucky, So here's some westerns. This was a big part of the business back then. And here we get into Captain America and the Red Skull. This is real early Joe Simon, Jack Kirby. It looks like he did pencils and inks. Um, this was probably a logo that was just copied from the cover. They just shrunk it down on a VLOX and they just pasted it up. And you got this splash page with montages and really crude versions. This is early Kirby, not a lot of background, not a lot of you know kind of like refined um composition, or like I don't even know what this is right here. This is supposed to be his hand or something. What are these green things? Is that the
Yeah,
red?
that's like the gauntlet. They always had like gauntlets, like they're always into
I got
military knights and armor and
yeah.
yeah,
So and this plane is like he's like destroying a plane in his hand, right? Is that
it's
what
a
this?
yeah,
Yeah,
looks like a
yeah. I mean, the anatomy is not so great, and the storytelling is not so clear, and it's a little bit like thinned down. But this was the evolution, and here's some of the storytelling as the Red Skull. He's got the big Nazi swastika, right, on his shirt. You didn't think that this was going to be a recurring character for decades and decades, right? They were just like, cranking this stuff out, and it became a thing, right? Captain America caught on. So this is so it's real
yeah.
early
I hear that.
stuff.
I hear they did a movie. Didn't they do a movie of Captain America?
One or two or three. I think they had Captain America 1, then they had the Winter Soldier 2, and then they had the Civil War 3, which was really Captain America versus Iron Man, and like a whole bunch of Avengers in there with the Falcon and everything else. But yeah, look at these sparse pages, right? Just a couple of hatching backgrounds, nothing here, some shadows. Are they in a room? Are they in like an arena? What's going on here? And this is early Cap before the round um, shield. And so yeah, this is super early. Here's the Vision, which is an interesting story because he was an android, and this is the Vision that later became a Marvel character in the Avengers when he was brought back in, but this is pre-Marvel. And so who had the rights to the Vision? Simon and Kirby invented him, and they worked for hire for some company. I don't know which one it was. I don't know. I don't think it could have been Marvel, but maybe not. And the Vision was brought back into to the Marvel fold and the Avengers as a slightly different version. He was still an android, and he was still called the Vision. He still had a green costume and a cape, um, but he was redesigned. And how did the money work out there? That's a story. That's another story. And I'm not up to that yet in the Marvel book, but they brought all of these old characters like the Human Torch, Captain America, and the Vision into Marvel, modern Marvel comics with Stan Lee as business decisions because copyright law was early and nobody really knew who owned what, and they figured, the credo back then was, well, let's put it out and see what happens,
yeah.
right? So, and if it was a flop, nobody cared, but if it really took off, then you had to settle, and there was tons of settlements. A lot of people don't realize what Jack Kirby got for Captain America. Jack Kirby was a co-creator with Joe Simon, and he was working for Marvel at the time that they brought back Captain America. And in order to smooth that all out at the time, they gave Jack Kirby $5,000.
Yeah, but
So
what year is that?
that was when Captain America came back in the Avengers. So that was
So it's
probably
like
like 64 or something,
64.
63 maybe, 64. Well, the Fantastic Four was 62, so maybe this was 63 or 64. Um, and that's ridiculous. Like, Jack Kirby, he was a team player, and he was like, Marvel wasn't like millionaires or anything at the time.
Yeah.
And $5,000 was a lot of money in 1963, right? You could
Well,
buy.
it probably came to like almost $50,000 in '64. That was a pretty good chunk of change. He probably paid for his moving out to California with that money.
Yeah, I mean, but these are laughable amounts for a character like, Captain America. And I don't know how they settled it with Joe Simon because he wasn't working for Marvel. for Stan and Jack in those days. So yeah, it just goes on and on. I'm not gonna do the whole thing, but great characters. I think this one is just it doesn't mention Jack Kirby. This is just Joe Simon, Solar Patrol. So these guys were just cranking the stuff out in the golden era. This is the 40s, and I never saw any of this stuff before. None of it. And maybe you saw some like clips of Young Romance or Captain America, but you can see, Jack's style is just getting better and better as you go through this book. And I got to point out here the poppin' panel. I love the poppin' panel. Um, this right here, what I say by poppin', what I mean by poppin' panel is when the foot and the shoulder just kind of jut out
Oh,
of the
just
panel
breaks.
border.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
breaks.
that's a great technique, the poppin' panel. And then also look at how these panels are. They have foregrounds, right? So Jack is getting good at this. Look, there's a lot of foreground elements here in the brush and the roots and the branches. Um, Here's something that we don't use enough of. It's a vertical panel, a vertical word balloon panel.
Yeah,
I wonder why that's done, and not going across like we usually see. It's good to break those things up every once in a while. Although you don't get too many words, sometimes you only get one word and you have to use a lot of hyphens, right?
yeah,
But there's definitely pros and cons. So, this is just, you know, the kind of like early stuff that they used to do before superheroes really took off. There was a lot of detective stuff. Here's some wartime stuff. We saw cowboys and Indians stuff, and this really set the stage, for the superheroes. When the superheroes thing took off, and remember this is the same Simon from Simon and Siegel, right? This is the writer that worked with Jack Kirby. Joe Simon was also the guy who invented Superman, right? Joe Simon and Siegel. So um, in 1938, he is working for DC, or and with another artist, and he invents Superman. So how about Joe Simon, right? He was there at the early days with Captain America. He was working with Jack Kirby before Kirby was big. He was just another artist at the tables here, cranking this stuff out. And I like the darks that he uses. I think Kirby is using like kind of a sloppy brush effect here. I mean, it works for me, but you see how he's got these really, really thick areas of black, and
yeah. Because he
I
doesn't have to come back and fill anything in. So that brush stroke is literally getting like two things done at once. So, because it's like that hand with that cigar,
yeah,
that probably took like 35 seconds to dash in, maybe like
yeah,
7 or 8 lines, but it has weight to it, like a physical. It's not
right.
outline. It's just not a bunch of outlines.
Yeah, we were talking with your indie guy last time about the dynamic of lights and darks,
Yep.
and balance. And there isn't so much balance. It isn't like 50-50 light and dark, like a Sin City thing, but a lot of nice darks here. It's maybe like 60-40 or 70-30. And look, you can see here they didn't even bother to erase, like the smoke is just going in front of the
Yeah.
smoke,
Yeah.
and like it's a little scratchy, right? Like if you look over here, and this is inks too. So this is Jack going over, with like a kind of a very fast brush technique when he used to ink his own stuff.
Yeah. Had to
You
get
know,
them
and,
pages out, man.
and once he got away from inking his own stuff, I don't think he inked his stuff. I don't think he went back to inking at all. He would get his Joe Sinnott's and his Mike Royers and his Mike Thibodeau's, right? And he would work with them forever until the end, right? Which is interesting. So here's some gangster stuff, and here's some cowboys, and I guess we call them natives. We don't say cowboys and Indians anymore. As we're speaking, this was the year that the Cleveland Indians became the Cleveland Guardians, and the Washington Redskins became the Washington. What are they called? I don't know. That's your area, right?
No.
What's
Oh, you're
yeah the
talking
what?
about my area of the world, or I don't watch
Yeah, the
sports.
Washington football team is now called the Washington.
Nationals, Nationals,
n- Oh no, that's the baseball team.
Federals.
Yeah, I don't know. I forget
Please
what they're
leave
gonna.
in the comments below if you know what the Washington
Oh well,
Redskins do.
what is the Washington football team called? I'm just asking Siri. Did they actually do it? I know there was a delay. Yeah, so just flipping through here, and so here we're coming into some kind of some horror. Oh, they're going to be called the Washington. Oh, they're called the Washington Commanders.
What?
Yeah, not sure if I love that. The Washington Commanders. And so here is the horror section when we get into like here deformed creeps and you see this here. There were these pens, and this looks like the speedball pens. The speedball tips. I think Jack started using the speedball tips, and he's when he started doing his own inking. Speedball tips are like really thick, kind of like calligraphy nibs that go into like a holder, and you dip it in. Like this is clearly brush. This is clearly like just the ink being dipped in and brushing in and doing strokes. And sometimes it's neat here and sometimes it's a little sloppy. But um, you're starting to see here just a real sense, of composition now, and like these great faces that are like not even three quarters, they're like turned away. This is a great skill. And he's setting up this whole thing. And there's a female character, a male character. They're in some barren landscape here. There's some like creepy, you know, um, menacing figures here. They're all different colors. Jack Kirby just coming into his own here, and they show you the covers of these the covers of these comics. Black Magic, Black Cat Mystic. These are from Thrill Publishing, and a lot of these publishing companies were really just shell corporations. When Bill Gaines and Martin Goodman and all of these publishers who are the behind the scenes guys were just coming out with all of these horror comics and war comics and cowboy comics. It was all coming out under the names of these companies that were real, just fly by night subsidiaries, so that they could move money around and they could, you know, repurpose stuff. And there was just so much sketchy stuff going on. And these poor, honest guys were just, cranking out their heart and soul in these stories, trying to entertain people.
Can I
Here's a,
interrupt real quick?
yeah, go ahead.
Um, I I envy that time so much.
Really?
I actually I'm right now absolutely obsessed with Golden Age comics, and there's a couple websites that you can excuse me, download and read this stuff. And the number one reason I am so taken by that time is they are literally at ground zero making all of this shit up. I
Yeah.
mean, you just went through, let's just say 35 properties, right?
Yep.
Ideas, everything from black magic to cowboys and so on and so on and so forth. Out of those 35 ideas, probably two of them stuck. And
Right.
just stuck. Like, I'm not even talking the Captain America so much as just none of the war does, none of the cowboys does, none of the, you know what I mean? It's like, but the reason it sticks is because they took a chance, they put it out, and not only was it like bought up, which is dollar vote there, but they're getting letters from people, probably
Right.
maybe half kids and half adults saying, "Man, I can't wait till you put out another Black Magic comic,"
Mm-hmm.
or what it is. But they were at ground zero for making stuff up. Nowadays, you are working against literally it having been redone at least twice. So
It's all been
then,
done
if
before. Yeah, yeah.
twice, it's all been done twice now. So when you really approach something, it has to be super personal. And I just want to say out loud, not only knowing you very well, but also knowing Turbo Pit Fighter as a comic, it's super personal. And the personal point of connection is a love for apocalyptic material, Mad Max in particular.
Hmm.
But to sit down and say, hey, if you want the next best thing in apocalyptic material, comic book specifically, Turbo Pit Fighter is going to be your shit. Well, it could be, but we're making an honest, committed effort to bring something to that niche,
Yeah.
and that's the game nowadays. It has to be so personal, and then you take the chance, you get it out there, and you see how many people basically say, "Yeah, you guys are doing it, and I want more." Or we end up moving into romance comics. That would be my next thing.
Well, 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 we are. This is a romance comic. This is definitely a romance comic. No, yeah. Of all my favorite genres to work in, because I'm thinking about a superhero team comic right now, and doing that in a way that makes it different and
So tough,
interesting.
so tough.
Yeah, and it is like just approaching it is like I've had like so many fits and starts, but the post-apocalyptic really speaks to me. The Road Warrior movies. Mad Max wasn't there yet. When Road Warrior came out, which was the sequel to Mad Max. Um, it really spoke to me, and the reason why is because it was totally a cautionary tale, right? The whole thing
Yeah,
is like, if society is getting so crazy and we're killing each other for gasoline, and this is literally what's happening, right? With the
yeah.
U.S. war and Iran and Iraq and embargoes and all this stuff. Um, and so they make this great story out of it, and Mel Gibson was just coming into acting, and it was just getting better, and the director would had a picture under his belt, and he got so much better, and he got all these mechanics to build all these crazy vehicles, and they were doing all these
He was a
stunts out there.
gearhead. He loved.
Yeah,
He loved. Was that? Uh, oh my God. Was it
what's his name?
George?
Yeah,
George Miller?
George
Yeah,
Miller.
George.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, George Miller. Sorry about that.
sounds right. Sounds right.
Elderly moment. But yeah, I mean, what an honest storyteller. Like seriously, like Fury Road, I think
I loved it.
is
Yeah,
absolutely the greatest reboot remake
yeah.
ever.
Uh,
Ever. And I challenge you, listener, to put something down in the comments because I love Prometheus and I have been punched in the mouth probably a half a dozen times by friends of mine for saying it with such committed passion. But I get it. It has its holes and it has its
yeah.
faults. But
Prometheus being the Alien prequel, right?
yeah, but when oh my lord, I mean, I could just sit back and just think about Charlize Theron's,
Yeah.
character, and it just, oh my god, and that's
So I,
all George Miller. He knew not only what he was doing, but he knew absolutely without a doubt how to do it.
yeah, but now he's rich, and he's got a budget, and he has his pick of any actors. And I heard that in the making of Fury Road, what was it called? Fury Road, right?
Yeah,
That they really eschewed special effects, that they really just pulled all that stuff off. That's some very interesting stunts going on with people on these long stilts
yeah,
hanging out of moving
yeah,
cars, right? And they're
yeah,
they're
yeah.
they're like swinging back and forth like a pendulum. So
They're performers. That's it's what they do. We had some come through a local gardens Wendy and I belong to, and they always have like great like shows in a sense, but it's just that kind of stuff where they have like a seesaw, but it's this big iron board or wood board and a steel ball, and they just do like 1,000 different like Cirque du Soleil.
right, right, right. Yeah. Yeah,
So
so it's the and you know, and great characters, right? And it's what's his name from Venom? What's the guy, Tom something?
Tom Hardy.
Hardy, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
from Venom, and the guy takes a secondary role. So
Yes.
it's not like a female lead and there's no guy
No.
there. It's a
Yeah.
female lead in the presence of this guy, and there's a
Oh,
tension
oh.
between them, and and they both like make all of these like real sacrifices, right, to get to the finish line. Oh man, what a great movie.
Oh.
So but no, I'm talking about Road Warrior. I'm talking about, but back, I think this was like 1980, 81, something like that. Um that movie, right? So it has this great story, it has this great ending, it has this great twist. It has,
Well,
the
it's not a great ending. It's a very, very sad ending.
oh no, that ending is great.
But it's brutal though.
Yeah, that's it.
He loses his
That's
spoiler, everybody. He loses his family right
no,
in
I'm not talking
front
about
of him.
Matt. I'm not talking about
Oh,
Mad
I'm
Max.
sorry. Right, right. Sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Road
Keep going.
Warrior. Yeah, Road
Yep.
Warrior. The
Sorry.
great visual climactic ending when the giant rig that they're driving just like goes head on into Humongous,
Yeah.
the bad guy, and just destroys it in a million pieces.
Just leave and leave
Right,
the
just go.
the gasoline.
Right. And then you find out that everything crashes, and and then you find out, oh no, the trailer was full of sand. And that it
No.
was it was a decoy. What
No.
Right. What a great
uh,
movie. What a great movie with great
uh.
plot and great action, great everything. So, it didn't. The funny thing is like there hasn't been too many copycat films. It didn't create a genre. It's sci-fi, but it didn't create its own like, spawn its own genre. At least not in
A
America.
little bit. I mean, in B movie land, it did. Like Roger Corman did, like probably like 6 or 7 movies. There was one with Patrick Swayze, Silver something or Steel Dawn. Yeah, Steel Dawn. That's what it was.
Oh,
And
copycat.
that wasn't that bad. And then Cherry 2000 with Melanie Griffith. That's actually a personal favorite of mine.
Really,
That's
Cherry?
about Cherry 2000. People live though in like a paradise that's separated from the rest of the world, which has fallen into um, apocalyptic, nonsense. And his sex bot needs a part, and the guy who does all of the repairs on sex bots like, I'm sorry, dude. He's like, there's no way, you're gonna have to basically just abandon this sex bot of yours and get a new one. He's like, no, I can do it. And how can I do it? And he's like, oh, you got to go into the no zone, you know. And
Right.
he's like, well, how do I do that? It's like, well, you got to hire somebody. Well, who do you hire? And he's like, well, I know somebody. And it's Cherry,
What? I
Melanie
gotta
Griffith.
see this movie.
Cherry 2000. It's your homework, Jake.
Got
It's
it.
gonna now. Just to
Now
even
it doesn't.
speak to, there's a romance, a double romance in this story, and it's one of the reasons I like it because there's an extra dimension that they're constantly dealing with.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it's done well. And I'm not gonna spoil it for anybody because Cherry 2000, Melanie Griffith, is a must see. And then A Boy and His Dog. That's another apocalyptic one. That's with her ex husband Don
Yeah, but
Johnson.
Yeah, but we're not just doing we're not just basing post-apocalyptic on Road Warrior. That was a genre that existed before Road Warrior.
Like what?
What Road Warrior brought in was the vehicle chases, the idea of the gearhead bit, the little piece. There's been plenty of post-apocalyptic. Planet of the Apes is probably the one of
Oh
the
yeah,
most common examples. But yeah, that's what Road Warrior brought in that wasn't there before. And the focus on vehicles, right? Like everything's about a vehicle, and if you want to get from here to there, and you want to survive, I know that there was also this really bad movie called Warriors of the Wasteland. Um,
Warriors of the
and I think it
Wasteland.
had like, one like, washed up character actor like, Ephraim Zimbalist or something. And they had this terrible like Mad Max imitation character, who was like, long hair, then he looked like a hair metal rock star. If you
Yeah,
wanna if you want to see a movie that is so bad that it's good,
good.
right? But not really. It's not like, yeah. I mean,
I
we
love B movies. I've made the statement before. I make it again. I'm into like really like I don't even call I would call them science horror in some way. There's a whole
well,
bunch of them on Amazon Prime
yeah,
for
science
free.
horror, and you got, you have the Ed Wood, catalog of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Plan 9 from Outer Space. Some of them were going back quite a while in time, but stuff that's made deliberately bad, in the modern day, as an homage to these bad movies, and holds your interest. They're rare, they're risky. Um, for the producers, and anything with sci-fi can be expensive, or else it could look very hokey. A lot of them end up on mystery science, and they get,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're brutalized, but that's where my imagination goes. Is like, this is a world of, post-apocalyptic world of pit fights and not too much high-tech stuff, but but definitely the radioactive currency, and there's going to be this one weapon, that we talk about in the upcoming episodes. Um,
Escape from New York. That's another one.
yeah, that's another one, but
Snake Plissken. I actually started doing my own comic book version of that. I still have
yeah.
the what do you call it? I still have my roughs for that.
Right, and that one, was pretty popular, and I think there was even a sequel. Kurt
Yep.
Russell, yeah,
Escape from LA.
right, right, right. So there's that. I always love the a good story. Like you win me over when there's a great story, great ending, and I'm fond of this movie that came out probably around 10, 15 years ago, called Children of Men. And
Oh
um,
yeah.
yeah, and that movie had, this kind of like Mad Max figure, in that, he was a loner, and he was like alcoholic, and
Isn't
he
that
was on,
Clive Owens?
yeah, he was always on his last legs, right? And all he's trying to do is just get the baby to the finish, to safety, because this was a world where there was no more babies being born, and then there was a baby born, and they had to get it to safety, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, but great story, great ending. And they set up a world, it was like a dark world, post-apocalyptic. And again, what George Miller did with, Fury Road, was like, he set a rule, and he wasn't going to break his own rule. The rule is, we're not going to do any CGI, and then, so they worked within those parameters. So in this other movie, Children of Men, the rule that the director set was that we are going to have scenes that are one long continuous cut.
Yeah. Whoa.
And if you watch that movie knowing that they did that, and they did that a couple of times on these just amazing sequences, and how much, how difficult it must have made like the crew, life, at the time, but it's well worth it because there's just like no cut, and it's like these real, critical scenes. It's pretty good movie, and a lot of fighting and shooting and stuff, and you know, so that one is one to watch. But I haven't seen too many of these. They're few and far between. I'm gonna look up Cherry 2000. I love the camp. I love the kitsch. I love the when it's you know because some of these science fiction things, they you have to suspend disbelief, for a lot of reasons, like, well, why wouldn't the army just come and just wipe everybody out, or yeah, um, so there's all that kind of stuff going on, but that's my genre right there. It's like sci-fi, post-apocalyptic, and I was always a big fan of aliens growing up. I was always a big fan of Star Wars, and I wasn't big on Galactica or Star Trek, but I was definitely, Star Wars got me at the right age and the right time, and
All right, Jake. We're getting to the 45-minute mark again. Trying to
okay,
keep these bite sized, so hate to cut you off in your in your zone,
yeah.
but yeah, another great day.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I've been working on this one panel the whole time, but it's a big panel, and
But you've made a. I actually almost finished.
oh
You
yeah,
know,
oh yeah,
I mean, I get 80% there, and I'll come back and revisit all the pages and really tighten them down and stuff. So, but yeah, I feeling good, feeling good.
yeah. And me, I'm just kind of getting back into the action sequences. I have been doing, as you can see here, some talking heads sequences for a while. Um, and I'm going to plug in before we die. But yeah, you can wrap this up. So, folks, we are here every week. We're dropping episodes if you like the banter. And one day that we will have a comic for people to buy and enjoy. But for now, we're just making pages and talking about our story and talking about other stories. Next time, what we might do next time is, if we don't have any comic news, I might have seen Thor by the time we come together next time. But if we don't have any other comic news to speak about, we might do a feature called Rando Comics Pulled Out of the Box. And
Oh yeah, cool. Because I do, like I said, I have my stack of black and white, my trustees, and I'd be more than happy to share there because we're also doing our best to support the black and white indie comic book game, art and story wise. So yeah, let definitely.
yeah, and Marvel. I mean, I well,
Speak for yourself.
I don't, yeah, well, I don't buy new Marvel comics. I buy old Marvel comics. So when I
You're
say,
keeping them alive out of the 50 cents and 25-cent boxes you're
yeah,
out
you
there
gotta
buying.
keep, you gotta
You're
keep,
buying $20 a month. Keeping them in business.
you keep your retailers going, and keep digging in those crates, at at
Right.
con. But yeah, I mean, at this point, any Marvel comic from the '70s is like, that's my wheelhouse. I'm very fond of, and I like looking over them and seeing them, as an adult now, and seeing them through a different set of eyes. So yeah, man. I'm sorry about these shadows.
Awesome.
I don't know if these shadows are gonna be really like deal killers, but I have a skylight
I'll.
of me up here that was crawling in, and I might have to
So
like.
does that shape your head? Is that the shape of your head? That shadow?
Well, you might laugh, but what I did was I put on two baseball caps like Sherlock Holmes. to
my God.
try to cut this down, and now I'm outing myself. So
You should not have said that. I don't know if I'm going to cut it out in the edit. So it's
well,
gonna people will get a nice little juicy bit if they stay all the way to the end. And if you did stay all the way to the end of the episode, thank you so very much because
right.
obviously we're speaking to you. And if there's things that you want to speak to us about, leave them in the comments or contact us. But yeah, we're stuck together here in getting this comic book all done,
Yeah,
and obviously bringing you more issues, and we're totally loving it.
yeah,
So spread
yeah.
the word too. Spread the word.
Yep, show us your comics, show us your favorite comics if you're making
Yeah.
anything, and then what's our Instagram? Is it just Turbo Pitfire?
No, we don't have an Instagram. It's just you and I's Instagram, and the only thing Turbo Pit Fighter is our channel
Oh, okay.
for YouTube. But yeah, I've been hashtagging Turbo Pit Fighter when I do post to like Instagram and everything. So if you hit one of my hashtags, you'll be able to see everything. But I'm pretty solid in just putting uh, uh, Turbo material up, as well as some portfolio inking stuff that I'm doing with some old golden age comic book
Yeah,
references. But yeah, we got to get you to start posting more of your stuff, or just taking some little short videos and reels, to keep people
yeah, and we could also,
attuned to us.
yeah, I could also promote Pearl White Malady, which is another comic that's been in production for years with my students, and
Sure,
it's
sure.
another post-apocalyptic sci-fi thing. So we can
Anything and everything. Of
we can tease all that when the time comes. But thanks a lot,
course.
Kurt. See you next
Yeah,
Sunday,
you're welcome.
if not
Yes,
sooner.
you will.
Yeah, man.
All right. Later.
Later.